What is up, guys? Welcome back to the Panthers Den. I'm your host, Daniel Spotswood. Um, been a while since I've uploaded on this channel. But I'm here to do the Carolina Panthers 2024 season review. A lot has happened since I've done the last video. Last video I did was the Week 16 Carolina Panthers player introductions against the Green Bay Packers. Ended up losing that game, but it was a very entertaining game to watch and go to. Um, you may notice the helmet in the background is different. It is, I got this for Christmas. It's the Panthers all black helmets that they wear. And I'm going to be bringing the main reason I wanted to get it was just because it looks really cool, but also because I'm going to bring it to training camp this year and try to get a lot of players and maybe coaches to sign it. That'll be cool, but it looks really, really awesome up there. And then there's the DJ Moore signed football I still have. A lot of things have happened. We started the offseason after last year ended by hiring Dave Canales as our head coach. And we ended up firing Scott Fitter and ended up hiring Dan Morgan as the GM. One thing I noticed this year is that David Tepper kind of stepped back a little bit in his role as the owner, but also he kind of was like trying to be the coach and the GM. But it seems like he kind of stepped back a lot, which it really helped the team. The team got a lot better when he did that. We ended up signing a couple big free agents in the offseason. We got Robert Hunt for like $100 million five-year deal, offensive lineman, and Damian Lewis. Those two guys up front needed big time. Let's see, we ended up picking up David Moore, who actually seemed like a pretty big asset this year that no one kind of really thought of, but he was pretty decent. I'm not gonna lie, he was really good. I'd like to see him back next year. Some key things that happened that kind of changed the season. Week 1, Derek Brown got hurt, season-ending injury in Week 1 against the Saints that we ended up getting killed in. Some other guys, Thomas. No, not Thomas. I almost said Thomas Davis. Shaq Thompson got hurt, I think in like week 4 or week 5. It was like a couple weeks into the season. It was really early. He got hurt, season-ending injury. Josie Joe got hurt like twice. We had a lot of we needed this offseason. We need to build the depth on the team because close to the end of the season, when especially on the defensive side, we had a lot of guys having to fill in for guys who were hurt, bigger guys on the team, like key names, and the depth wasn't there. So we had a bunch of like random people basically filling in practice squad players. Nothing wrong with practice squad players filling in for spots, but when half your defense is hurt, it kind of is like, Let's see what else happened. Okay, yeah, after week 2, Panthers lost to the Chargers. Carolina Panthers benched Bryce Young after not having a good first 2 weeks at all. He really did. He played horribly. I'm not gonna lie. Love Bryce, but he played horribly. Benched him for Andy Dalton. He sat behind Dalton for a couple weeks, and I think it was right before the Denver week. Dalton got in a car accident. He was okay, but his thumb got hurt on his throwing arm, so that affected him throwing. So they just had to start Bryce. Bryce looked pretty good, looked way better against Denver than he did the first 2 weeks. So there was like, okay, there's some promise here. Then he really just kind of started to shine. I mean, it maybe took a week or two, but he really just got going. Once he took off, he took off. Because, I mean, the Panthers, they looked pretty decent with Dalton. I mean, they weren't terrible, but they weren't great. They were okay. I mean, they destroyed the Raiders. They lost a couple close games and then kind of lost a couple not-so-close games. So they looked all right with Dalton at quarterback for a veteran, for an older guy like him. They looked pretty good. But then Bryce got back in, and he started to look really good. And then, I mean, he was playing the best football I've seen him play since he was at Alabama. I mean, That's it right there. I mean, really. I mean, I think Carolina found their franchise quarterback last year. Was kind of like, I think he might be the guy, but we got to give him a year or two. I feel like to really settle in because he looked good at a lot of parts last year, but also he got rushed into the season in his rookie season in the starting spot immediately, practically. I mean, we signed Andy Dalton, but we didn't really have him Bryce sit behind Dalton at all. So to learn from him, plus the O line was playing horribly, which is why upgrading the offensive line was huge. And then also, I'd say Bryce was probably most improved this year. I mean, if you look at his stats from when he came back, he was like, I think 1,500, around 1,500 passing yards, like 21 touchdowns to 6 interceptions, something like that. Really, really good stats for not playing. He had better stats than Kirk Cousins in like 10 games than Cousins had the whole season, or like 16 games, something like that. Because then he got benched, I think, in like week 15. Um, but Chuba Hubbard ran for 1,190 something yards rushing and 10 touchdowns. Last running back to do that was Christian McCaffrey and D'Angelo Williams. So he's the third Carolina Panther all time to rush for at least, I think it's like at least 1,000 yards or 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns at least, something like that. He's the third Panther to do that. He's also getting up there in rushing and I think touchdowns as a Panther running back. He's close. I think he's close to top five. I think he's at number 6 right now, so he's almost there. I think next year he'll probably get past that, get in that top five for sure. Around with probably around Stewart, Williams, and McCaffrey. But he was a huge asset to the team this year. I mean, and people look at our record who, if they don't watch the Panthers football this year, you look at our record and be like, oh, 5-12, that's horrible. Well, from when we started last year with interim head coach and then also Frank Reich, if you count the couple weeks he was here, it didn't look good. 2-15, horrible, horrible. I mean, we had a rookie quarterback and a new head coach who didn't know how to do his job, and and an offensive coordinator who didn't know how to do his job, a GM who didn't know how to do his job, and an owner who didn't know how to do his job, and an offensive line that doesn't want to protect your rookie quarterback, and probably also the fact that your only receiver that you could throw the ball to pretty much that you could trust is Adam Thielen, who, yes, Thielen is a great receiver. He's an older guy, but you got to have some youth in the receivers and tight ends, I feel like, but I definitely think, honestly, I think with the division that Carolina is in, I think next year that Carolina can make the playoffs if the O-line continues to play good like they did this year. I don't think we need to get. Oh yeah. Also, another couple other rookies we ended up in the draft. We ended up getting Xavier Legette, Jatavion Sanders, and Jonathan Brooks. Brooks got hurt, which kind of sucked because we saw some stuff out of him. He looked pretty good until he got hurt again. He re-hurt I think it was the same hamstring he already tore last year, or ACL. I think it was ACL. Legette was a little disappointing, but I mean, I feel like you got to give him time. He'll be one of the best receivers probably within the next couple of years. Jalen Coker, undrafted free agent out of Holy Cross University. He was huge this year, and he didn't play. He missed a couple weeks, I think. I think he missed like 3 or 4 weeks, but he had more receiving yards than Legette did as an undrafted free agent. So he was a steal, honestly. But I think, Jatavion Sanders, he was huge too. I mean, out of a rookie tight end, we haven't had a good tight end since, Greg Olsen. I love Trumbull. He's a great guy. He's a good football player, but he's just, he had a really good second half of the season, Trumbull did. Maybe because he felt like there was a guy coming for a spot, which there is, so he better watch out. Sanders might come for a spot next year. But honestly, next year, I think the big thing is defense. Defense is what we need to find. Get another corner to help out J.C. Horn. You got a couple guys in the draft this year. You got Will Johnson out of Michigan. As a Michigan fan, I would like Carolina to draft him, but also we need to that D line needs to be beefed up. We need probably Mason Graham. Probably I that's who we probably could get because Carter I guarantee will go probably top five. We have the number 8th overall pick, and I think Graham will be there. Either Graham or Kenneth Grant. I mean, Kenneth Grant, I don't think is going to go that high. We honestly could snag both of those guys. If we do, pair those two with Derek Brown, those are 3 interior defensive linemen that will actually like terrorize offensive lines. And because stopping the run was worst run stopping defense in the league this year. Also, probably we also gave up the most points this year on defense. So something's gotta change with defense. It's because J.C. Horn can't be the only corner. I mean, okay, Mike Jackson was really good this year too. I think those two are great. Keep those two guys. I'd say get another corner, maybe find another safety. I don't know. Woods, I feel like we keep Woods, but Woods just he wasn't on top of it this year. He didn't honestly he didn't play that great last year either. He's okay, but I mean we need another corner and maybe another safety. Definitely one or two more D linemen probably. And then maybe get a receiver in the draft. Maybe, if one flies to us, that's a good receiver. I mean, another young talent would help out Bryce a lot more. But I think the division we're in, I think honestly we could win the division next year and make the playoffs with at least 10 wins, 9 or 10 wins. I think the floor would be like 7 wins. I think the ceiling could be like 11, honestly. And then the basement would be like 5 wins again. But I don't think that honestly. Now I could be wrong, but I really couldn't really see that happening too much. I don't think I see us losing. Honestly, I really don't want us to lose more than 10 games again because we haven't had a winning season since 2017. That was the last winning season we had. 11-6, I think. 11-5, something like that. 11-5 playoffs. Cam Newton ended up getting hurt. He hurt his shoulder, I think, because in 2018 he was good. Don't get me wrong, but he wasn't the same. And then everything after that just kind of started to fall apart because 2018 was the first year David Tepper was the new owner of the Panthers after Richardson was forced to sell the team, which the circumstance he was under wasn't good. But I hate that he had to sell the team because he was such a great owner. I mean, we won 11 games with him. Went to the Super Bowl the year before that. I mean, like he turned the team around really multiple times because he was owner the whole he was our only owner before Tepper was. So but my prediction for next year is the ceiling will be 11 wins, the floor will be like 7 wins, which will be even more of an improvement from this year, 5 wins to 7 wins. But I think that'll be the ceiling and the floor, honestly, on wins next year. But I think if we upgrade the defense, then I think playoffs. Honestly, because I mean Bryce Young was playing outstanding, and we lost a ton of games this year that all came down to the defense. Either the defense or drop passes. I'm not gonna name names, but Eagles ended the game. Yeah, we know who we're all talking. We all know who we're talking about there. But other than that, I mean, really, it was just a lot of defense was just terrible this year. I mean, it was the worst I've seen in forever. Like, we need a new defense coordinator, and we need one bad. But Evero is not apparently going anywhere because Dan Morgan and Tepper and Dave Canales like him. I like the guy, too. He needs to change his defensive scheme, though, or something, because we went from a 4-3 to a 3-4, and then once we went from a 4-3 to a 3-4, our defense just tanked. It was terrible. But, I mean, I think next year will be a lot better. But this year was definitely a huge improvement. But, well, thank you for tuning in. I mean, this is another episode of Panthers Den. I'm your host, Daniel Spotswood. I will try to be uploading a lot more or more frequently than I did before. I uploaded like 8 videos and then kind of stopped. I think I either forgot about it or just was too busy with football. But I'll see y'all next time on this episode of the Panthers Den.